Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu editorial video. And in the morning these videos come, in the evening the PIB videos come, and very crucial data is there, and both the datas in these videos, they are different, nothing is similar there. So follow both these videos. And today is 28th of February. This month is over and only 3 months are left. You see, within no time 2 months are gone, and we don't know, we are meeting daily here, and this is extremely crucial. So this should be your motivation in this anxious time. You anyhow maintain your consistency, you maintain your integrity. In a sense, integrity means you have to gather yourself, you have to always try to focus on the thing that you want to do, that you have to do. Otherwise this anxiety is gonna be balanced in your body. You will feel much more lethargic, and you will sleep more, you will tend to distract more, because this anxiety, it balances itself. So that is your ultimate task, and that's very difficult in this time, as I tell you. So now move forward. You see, these pen drive courses by StudyIQ are extremely important. Many people are selected with the help of these courses, whether you are preparing for UPSC, bank examination, SSC, railway, or any exam. All these are covered by these courses created by experts and selected people. And you see, Bank IQ magazine is also launched, UPSC IQ magazine also there. So these things are certainly gonna assure your selection if you are sincere. Okay, editorials, today we are going to discuss all these editorials. I think this I would take tomorrow, because it's a huge article, it's a well written and well thought out article. And in this time where emotions are at peak and everybody is provoked in a sense, so at this time this kind of article can be difficulty, the interpretation can go wrong. So that is a thing. That is why I'm going to give you some time in this article, because many number of articles are there. And you see, we are going to discuss this. This is important for the GS paper 3 and 2 both. And this is not important for us. This is regarding the Nigeria's president who is re-elected, Mr. Buhari. And this we are going to discuss here. This is a very crucial issue of GS paper 1 and 2 both, Arunachal Pradesh and tribes issue. And this we are going to discuss. It's an international relations issue, and our demand for declaring Masood Azhar as an international terrorist, and whatever is going on. So what is happening in the United Nations Security Council, so those things we are going to discuss. GS paper 2 is going to be important here, and this is also the article we are going to discuss related with the GS paper 3, because it is regarding the GST implementation and the various tax slabs. So these are the things, and let's start. These are the the words that I found today, and try them into sentences. Calming Arunachal Pradesh. You see, what is going on in India, all conditions are telling us that the young nation as we are, energy level is so high. Everywhere you see youth, and mainly these days on the streets, protesting about some issues, protecting and being conservative about some issue, maybe in political rallies or anywhere you see youth protesting heavily, and they become violent always. That's the issue. The same thing happened in Arunachal Pradesh, and as we know, Arunachal Pradesh is a frontier state of India, very important, crucially important, because the China border is there, and whole Arunachal Pradesh's territory is actually disputed by China. So we cannot allow any kind of disturbance that extends with the time. So readily a government had to send the companies of forces there to tackle the situation, where a particular issue which used to be there for years, and now because some certificates regarding their permanent residence were issued, and not issued, but it was a recommendation by the joint high power committee that they should be issued. These non-Arunachal Pradesh scheduled tribes of Namsai and Changlang district, they have been living here since the state was created, and there was hardly any problem, although some issues were there. But now officially, when they are recognizing them as Arunachal Pradesh tribes, and they are going to avail benefits under these educational and jobs reservation issues. So this is a trouble by the Arunachal Pradesh tribes. and they protested heavily about it. A lot of economic blockade and all these things happened, and after that violent protests were there on the streets. Even in these heavy protests, they attacked the deputy chief minister's residence also, and it became so crucial an issue that some people died in the incident. And so the situation, it got escalated to very dangerous levels. You see, the known APSTs include the Deoris, Sonowal Kacharis, Moran Mishings, Adivasis, and ex-servicemen belonging to the Gorkha community. So these all people were recommended to be issued the resident certificates. But now you see, government is under extreme stress politically, because the BJP government is there in Arunachal Pradesh, and when these students and all, they are protesting so heavily that they are actually thinking that we should delay this process, and they have decided not to act on the recommendations. The same thing happened with the Congress government in 2010, when committee recommended in the favor, but these political parties, they could not bear the brunt of these protests, and they actually cancelled this particular decision. Okay, so same things are happening here. So it is not only about a particular party, it is the ethnic issue and the issue of outsiders in all these northeast states that is going on, and that's a real cause of concern. Whether we talk about Assam, whether we talk about Mizoram, whether we talk about Manipur, whether we talk about the Arunachal Pradesh state, now everywhere the same issue is going on. Some people, indigenous tribes are there, and to some they are calling outsiders, and they are taking their share of privilege or some kind of rights which are there, and specific rights which are there, because all these are tribal states and they are extremely sensitive. And it is the northeast area of India that is near to China's territory, and always very sensitive, very secessionist tendencies used to be there in 70s, 80s, and after this Assam Accord, anyhow the situation came under control. But you see, some groups are always active there, who are always trying to provoke these situations, and anyhow they are trying to put these people against the government of India. So that's the trouble. So anyhow, government cannot allow these kind of developments in the northeast part of India, and now this thing, for the last 2-3 years, this thing is rising in all these states, and always the same issue is there. And the one common observation is also there, that government finding is very difficult everywhere, whether we talk about Kashmir, whether we talk about the northeast states now, and some other areas where people are going out of hand, because their protests, they are fueled by the youth of the local area, and controlling the youth is always very difficult, and always controversies, they are going to erupt. Now 2 people are died in this incident, so certainly this is going to have some consequence, and because of this pressure, government has cancelled these recommendations. Okay, you see, these non-APSTs, they were to enforce an economic blockade of the state from the neighboring parts of Assam last month. This happened, and when this thing was retaliated by the local tribes of Assam, who are actually scheduled tribes of Arunachal Pradesh. So it was totally ethnic discord. Okay, other issues which are going on, like Chakma and Hajong issues in Mizoram, and hill versus valley disturbances in Manipur, where hilly tribes, they are protesting about the people living in the plains, and the migration issue in Assam, the NRC exercise is going on. Citizenship Amendment Bill is a new controversy, and attacks on Sikhs in the state of Meghalaya. So these issues, and apart from that, within Arunachal Pradesh, where these Chakwan Hajongs, they were settled, so it's a citizenship issue for them also. So all these issues are all very sensitive, and they all can be escalated to dangerous levels. So anyhow, we need to solve these issues, and political resolution is the best thing, and discussions are needed, and anyhow use of force is going to be counterproductive everywhere. So that's the issue that is going on. Many articles are going to come on this issue, so we are going to discuss that there. Now the issue of Zika virus. You see, the question was asked in the prelims examination in 2016 regarding this Zika virus, that how it can spread. And you see, last year in the month of October, November, many issues, many cases we saw in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, in these two states. And you see, it was very shocking that how Zika came to India. It was an outbreak in 2015 in Brazil and in 2016 in Central Americas. After that, the cases subsided, but now they reappeared in Rajasthan and MP. And you see, more shocking incidents were there when National Virology Institute, it said that this virus is actually endemic virus and it belongs to Asia. That means there may be possibility that for many decades this virus is there inside India's masses, and mainly in the people from Rajasthan and MP. They are carrying this virus, but now it is activated. This is the quality of virus. So it can enter anybody's body, any living cell, and it can start its working by hijacking the genetic system, the DNA program of that cell. So it can be activated, it can be deactivated. That's the thing. You cannot kill a virus, because virus is a link between living and non-living. It can be like a dead particle. You can crystallize the virus, and when it enters into the living cell, it can activate itself. So maybe it is activated again, and there is no guarantee that there would not be any more outbreak in India in the next future, because you see, many mysteries are there regarding the Zika virus. The issue of S139 and mutation. First, some scientists, when it got an outbreak in Brazil, when they said that this mutation S139 is linked with the microcephaly condition. You can see in the picture normal baby and the baby with the microcephaly, a small head or a small cranium. So this microcephaly condition is actually caused by this particular virus, it was said. But later they found that there is no guarantee and there is no direct connection between that. There are some conditions certainly attached with this virus's activation, that microcephaly condition can be there, and Guillain-Barré syndrome can be there, and some other conditions may appear, but mainly the pregnant ladies, they are mostly affected, and the fetus, that is mainly affected anatomically. There may be changes genetically, or there may be differences in the bodies of these kids. So that's the main issue, but there is no guarantee, there is no clarity totally about these situations, that which thing is causing what. But when these cases were there in India, and some health departments in India, in these states, they said that India's virus is not dangerous and it is not going to cause any microcephaly like conditions, because it is not having this S139N mutation. That thing was bizarre, and that time it was criticized heavily, that on what basis you are saying this, when even the best scientists of this world, they are not certain about this condition, and they cannot say that this S139 is actually related with the microcephaly condition or not. Then how can you say that India's virus cannot cause these kind of conditions and it is not a dangerous variant? That's totally a false statement. So that is why they were criticized, and after that the studies must go on. That is the only way further, that more and more samples you will collect, more and more diagnosis you would do, and more conditions you would analyze. Then only it can be a great opportunity for India also, because many cases were available, and now many people are carrying the antibodies regarding this a particular virus, Zika virus. So it can be an opportunity for India to do a lot of research on this issue. Some tests like ELISA, which are usually done for the HIV and some TB tests. So this ELISA test, it can give false or negative positives. That's a different trouble with the testing of this Zika virus. And you see, dengue co-infection is also a trouble, because the dengue's antibodies, they can impact the Zika viruses working and the antibodies created by the human body. So there can be confusions in this ELISA test. So these are other troubles. That means these testings are also not easy for Zika. So that also makes an argument in favor of the government, where they don't want to initiate these kind of studies, these kind of surveys, because these are going to be expensive, and today it looks unnecessary, because the cases are subsided and there are hardly any case of Zika virus outbreak right now, and right now they are dealing with H1N1 cases. So it has become a common thing for India. The winters come, H1N1 cases are there, and during the summers and monsoon time, dengue, chikungunya, Japanese encephalitis, and these now the Zika outbreak last year. So these kind of things are becoming really common, and the fatality is a real danger with these conditions. Although the cases of fatality with the dengue, they are subsiding, but in the case of chikungunya and Japanese encephalitis, things are really critical. So that's a different thing, and researches are needed there also, and many cases are there, and the poverty factor and poor hygiene factor are a real demons in India, as it was seen in Brazil that in 2015 the areas which were counted as poor states in the northeast of Brazil, so there these cases were much more in number, and the similar condition are there in India. They can support the more and more Zika virus incidents and more microcephaly, Guillain-Barré like situations, although not many cases were seen like this, but they may appear in the near future, because every year now we would have this kind of danger, and if India is lucky, then no major outbreak would happen in the future, but certainly there can be other outbreaks. So we need to be ready about that, and for that these testings and these researches are necessary, and these statements like our strain is not dangerous, and we know about India's conditions, and we know about India's virus strain, so these are false statements. Till now there is no clarity on Zika, and till now all these countries are struggling to find solutions regarding that. Okay, now see, there are other infections like toxoplasmosis, rubella, and herpes cytomegalovirus. It is seen that when pregnant ladies are infected by these viruses, then also some cases of microcephaly and some other complexions, they appear with the fetus. So we cannot be ascertain that only the antibodies which are there for Zika in the bodies, they are going to be any kind of problem. There may be other infections also. So for that also these testings are necessary, and we should never escape from this kind of responsibility. That's a major responsibility. It is not only for our nation, it is for whole world. So that is why. And a Zika risk does not end after the baby is born healthy. Maybe the baby is born with a healthy head, a healthy cranium. So it is not a guarantee that he's not having any kind of infection or any kind of antibodies regarding that. So that's why we need to check more and more people, and these surveys, these samples should be taken, and all these testings should be done. You see, in the country of Switzerland, there is a Humaps Biomed named company, a firm. It has developed a specific testing, that is ELISA test only. It's a type of ELISA test regarding the Zika disease, and it can separate the cases of dengue infection and of the Zika infection, because antibodies it can segregate. So this particular testing, it found in a Nicaragua country, that is a Central American country, that 56% of tested adults, they had antibodies to Zika. Means they were healthy, but they were having the antibodies. That means they were infected, but the disease did not occur in these people, but they had antibodies of that. So these all arguments are going into a direction that more and more testing is needed, and these specific testings and their innovation, their discoveries are the real challenge for a country like India. And it is not only about the Zika, it is about many more diseases which are a challenge. It is about the NCDs also, where we need a lot of research, a lot of funding, and this particular political will to raise our health budget and all. So all these things are a real challenge, and we need to take steps according to these conditions. Okay. Next, I have given you a question regarding that issue. Next, the vexatious question of Masood Azhar. In this article, the writer wants to say that our media, some of our media houses, they interpreted about the statement adopted by UNSC, United Nations Security Council, in a wrong way. They said that it was a resolution, but it was not a resolution. Resolution is a much bigger thing. It was a statement. There are two types of statement. One statement is a member's statement, and one is council statement. Council statement is actually bigger than the member's statement, and resolution is bigger than the council's statement. Resolution is not a statement. These two are statements. Okay, and you see that resolution that was, sorry, the statement that was taken on 21st of February regarding the Pulwama attack in UNSC, that was a member's statement. That was not even a council statement. In the council statement, there is a guarantee that there are total 15 members of UNSC, 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent. It is necessary that they all are there in the council statement, but this was the member statement, so there is no guarantee that all 15 people or all 15 countries were there. There is no guarantee. And resolution is much bigger thing. So we are interpreting this thing wrong, and we are spreading a wrong message in the media, and we are mistaking here because they carry different levels of intensities. If one member has a strong objection to the text, okay, the statement cannot be approved. We are talking about here the council's statement. That is a bigger thing, and this 21st statement was not a council statement, where if one member has strong objection, the statement cannot be approved. But it is also not a guarantee this time that Masood Azhar's name was there in the text or not, because France took this initiative, and France, USA and UK, they have been there with India on in all these issues, but China has consistently vetoed our proposal to declare Masood Azhar as a terrorist. So that's the thing for 2016 and 2017. And now after this Pulwama attack, this particular member's statement the UNSC has adopted. So it's more a formal thing to adopt, and it's more a moral support, and it is not gonna change much on the ground because it is not enforceable. You see, when resolutions are taken, okay, which are a bigger thing, there also two categories are there. Some are taken under chapter 6, some are taken under chapter 7. Which are taken under chapter 6, they are not enforceable. Only chapter 7s are enforceable, and the Kashmir issue, which were taken in the United Nations in the past to the Security Council, that was also taken under chapter 6. That means that was also not enforceable. Not enforceable. Okay, so nowhere the question of emphasis is there, and nowhere things are gonna change much on the ground, because this resolution even of 6 is not enforceable. Then leave about the discussion of members statement. This is nowhere near to any kind of enforcement. So that's the thing. And you see, that's a moral thing for these countries. When in practice any country, if it is criticized and any kind of statement that is taken against that country, then that country take it as a responsibility, and they always try that the wordings which is issued against that country, that should come to a calmer level, a moderate level, because it's a moral responsibility, because the country is criticized on the United Nations Security Council level. So this has happened in the case of Israel, where they have tried and they have pursued USA to change these wordings to the moderate level. So although these particular presidential statements, the members statements, these are taken seriously by countries, but it is not possible here that Pakistan is going to take it very seriously, because they are consistently denying this issue. And the issue of Masood Azhar, the writer wants to say here that as I told you, there is no guarantee that this statement includes the name of Masood Azhar or not. France showed its solidarity with India, but in this particular showing of this good gesture by France, it was no loss for the France, and it was not opposing any country in favoring India here. So that was very obvious, that was very simple thing for France. And because France is there as a permanent member, so this active support has always been there in the past also. And you see, US, UK and France, they have always been there with India, but the country which has vetoed here, that is China. And because of China, in 2016 and 2017, in both these instances, Masood Azhar could not be declared as an international terrorist. That was the issue. Now see, the problem is Russia's active support is also not there. That is a cause of concern. In both these instances, Russia's active support was not there. Although it did not veto this, it went with it, but the active support was missing. So that's a real trouble. Now the writer says that why we are pushing so hard about declaring Masood Azhar as the international terrorist. Everybody knows about that, and all countries, they know that Masood Azhar is an international terrorist, and when they are going to declare it officially, then not much is gonna change. Although some travel constraints and the funds in foreign accounts constraints, they are gonna come, but hardly it is going to create any kind of discomfort in his working, because he is working as a terrorist. He would not change as a good person after this declaration. He would continue doing those killings and all those terrorist activities. So he's not going to stop there. So we need to think about this issue also, that why we are investing so much into declaring him as a terrorist, and why we are pushing it so hard when China is consistently vetoing us, and it is giving us more and more bitter relations between both these countries. And it's a major issue between India and Pakistan, India and China, both these countries, both these groups. Okay, so it's an objectionable thing. And now we talk about the OIC group. This OIC group, this Organization of Islamic Cooperation, they have invited us after 50 years, and we have accepted their invitation. There is some problem with this OIC, because you see, it's a organization of Islamic countries, and they are more in fear of Pakistan always. They call Kashmir as India occupied Kashmir. They don't call it as an integral part of India. India occupied Kashmir, they call it. And they have always denounced India regarding this issue. They always supported that there must be a independent UN assessment body, and there should be a permanent human rights commission which should tackle the issue of Kashmir. And in this case, this is always against India's stand, because India always wants to solve this issue bilaterally, and we all know that this issue cannot be solved in UN anywhere, because it's a local issue, it's a very complex issue, and only both these countries, India and Pakistan, they can solve this issue. But Pakistan always wants to take this issue to United Nations, always it wants to take it, but India is not in the favor. And now OIC in 2017 adopted a resolution condemning the intensified Indian barbarities since 2016, when the Burhan Wani, the militant, was killed. After that, regarding India's stance, regarding India's armies working there, they have actually called it barbarities and cruelty from the India's side, and they brought this particular resolution against India. So this particular organization, whatever it did, now we are accepting the invitation from this particular group, so it can become a kind of a embarrassment after this meet, because on the 1st of the March, tomorrow, this is going to happen, and maybe it would follow some kind of embarrassment for us. So that these are speculations which are going on. So this is a complex situation, and the issue is actually internationalized, and Pakistan is certainly going to take this issue internationally, because whatever happened in last 2 days, as they captured our pilot also, so certainly they would throw this issue in air. Certainly they are going to do it, but India also has this particular opportunity now. When they are going to raise this issue internationally in the United Nations, then India can produce many evidences against Pakistan, and certainly these things are gonna hurt Pakistan image more and more. And all these resolutions, all these statements which are coming, they are going to be in support of India and against Pakistan's stand. So we need to see this issue, and very cautiously we should move, because China is always there as a backer, as a permanent friend, all-weather friend of Pakistan, and it can be a big problem. And again, the pitch would be there that India should taken as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. This demand is again gonna raise. So we need to see what kind of developments are going to be there. Now the mains question, and now one small issue here, where regarding the GST the writer is talking about. He says that GST started with the one nation, one tax idea, but it could not be implemented. First, Arvind Subramaniam, when he was economic advisor, he brought a universal rate of 15% with some demerit goods and all. But government went with 5 particular slabs, 0, 5, 12, 18 and 28. And they did not stop here. After some time, when the elections and all they came, they added 2 more categories, 0.25% for the rough diamonds and 3% for gold. So these were other additions, and another rate of 1% for the sale of under construction affordable houses, which used to be there as 8%. Now they have converted it to 1%. They have lowered this amount in the Sunday decision. So this 1% is additional. And you see, apart from that, when the flooding happened and Kerala's destruction followed, then they allowed Kerala to impose 1% cess, flood relief cess, inside this GST regime. So Kerala is also collecting 1% flood relief cess for that. Although they could have gone adding funds into National Disaster Relief Fund and state disaster response funds, but they did not went with these moves, and they added 1% cess in the GST regime. So it made it much more complex, and the idea of one nation and one tax, that actually is no more there. If you go by the scrutiny, if you go by the explanation, and then this thing is nowhere as a reality. But they can give this argument that for a particular thing, if we take any particular thing which is taxed on a certain rate, then whole country is taking the same in all the areas of the country, the thing is charged as the same rate of slab. Maybe some items are coming into this 8% category, some are coming into this 12% category, some are coming into this 18% category. So this is charged for the same slab all over the country. So this way we can call it one nation one tax. But certainly for all the items, this is not a one nation one tax. And one more problem which is there regarding the opacity and the transparency. You see, they are removing transparency in some ways. How? The recent decision on the Sunday, when they did away with the input tax credit system. What is this input tax credit system? You suppose we mine some mineral, maybe iron. We are mining iron, and iron is going to be sold in the market. So it would have some value, and some tax would be there. The tax I would have to pay if I am going to buy iron. Next, through this iron, I'm going to convert it into steel. So some input I would add here, and the value of the steel would be higher than this iron. But if somebody is going to buy this steel, then if that person is paying the whole amount and he is paying the tax on the total amount, then certainly it is going to be a cascading impact, because the input is also added here, and the tax I have paid here, that is also added to its cost. So the input tax credit system was that, where I would take a slip of this particular tax, that I have paid this tax on the first instance, and this slip I would have with me, and I would show this slip when I am going to buy steel here, and I would say that this much amount is paid the tax, and now I am only going to pay the tax on the rest of the amount. So when this slip is produced, then only I have to pay on this additional amount, additional input, and this tax I would pay, and I would take another slip here. And now when out of this steel some other product would be made, then the same thing would follow. That slip I would produce, and the additional amount which I have added in its value, then that additional amount is only going to be taxed here. So this is how this particular way is transparent, and this tax system is simplistic, and it is not going to create any kind of cascading impact, or double taxation or triple taxation is not going to be there. So that's the major achievement of the GST system and this input tax credit system. But now when it is applied on all these things, some industries, they are kept out of this input tax credit system. Restaurant industry and the sanitary pads industry, they both are kept out of this ITC measure. And now with the construction sector also, with the real estate sector also, they are doing away with this input tax credit system, and that's a problematic situation, because they are saying that they are taking any kind of advantage. The finance minister is saying that they are having advantage of this ITC system, but many scholars, they are calling it that there is no problem with the ITC system. Even the government is hailing this ITC system in all other products, as they are saying it that it is going to be effective because it is going to put curbs on the double taxation system and the cascading impact system, which previously used to be there. Now when they are saying that these industries are taking advantage of ITC system, that is not correct. So that is actually adding more opacity, and these systems are much more opaque and they are not transparent. So it is going to create troubles, and such a system, this input tax credit system, this system encourages honesty and transparency, and that you are taking away. So these are the problems, and you see many more issues still remains with GST regime, like many important items like cement. It is still taxed at 28% of the slab, the highest slab, and that's a real problem, because poorest of the poor, they need cement to construct their houses, and it is so expensive because of this 28% slab. And you see the issue also appeared when we were discussing the most favored nation status with Pakistan, because we are importing cement there, cement from Pakistan, and it is 100 rupees cheaper when we are going to import it from Pakistan. And because we are not changing the slab of cement, and 28% tax is chargeable here, so this is going to be a big problem, and cement going to be very expensive after this tariff hike on Pakistan. So that is going to be some issue. So we need to reform all these issues, and we need to take care about all these measures. Otherwise, you see the same problem would be there. Many changes these people have done in the GST regime, and anyhow they are trying to make it smooth, but they are not able to find a solution, and consistently they are changing things according to the situation. So this is not going to support them in a better way, and we need to find solutions for all these problems. Next, the questions, and now some MCQs. Try them, put their answers in the comment section, and the PDF you will get there, and the rest of the matter for whole this week we are going to discuss in the next 3 days. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Saini, and from March this lesson is going to come around 8 o'clock, and 7 o'clock the Hindi lesson would come. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Saini.